Hi, I'm Dina.
I'm Christina.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Josephine, and the public benefit entity we will be discussing this afternoon is the New Zealand Police.
The New Zealand Police is the #1 agency responsible for reducing crime and ensuring the safety of communities in New Zealand. Their functions include keeping the peace, law enforcement, crime prevention, national security and community support and reassurance. By working with individuals, communities, businesses and other public sector agencies, the police are able to achieve their desired outcome through the Prevention First operating system, which provides a confident, safe and secure community with less actual crime, road trauma and fewer victims.
Every police employee is required to act professionally, ethically, and with integrity when providing policing services. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the police and the taxpayers who help fund expenses paid through to the Crown to ensure that employees are conducting themselves in a manner which is seen as responsible to those who they work with, as well as to the general public.
In looking at the 2012 Deputy Auditor General's Overview Report of the Police Conduct and other documents such as the New Zealand Police 2013 Annual Report, we have found certain aspects of interest in relation to the performance and accountability of the New Zealand Police. The 4 aspects we have further delved into include moral behaviour, statement of intent, adult sexual assault conduct and other case resolutions.
By looking at the 2013 annual report for the New Zealand Police, we have come across some areas which we believe will be of learning value and general interest to you all. The New Zealand Police have made a surplus for the year in 2013 of just over $2 million.
In considering their revenue and expenditure for the year, they have effectively spent the majority of what they have received. $1.5 million of revenue was contributed by the Crown, which essentially is you and I, the taxpayer. As they are a public benefit entity, their aim is not to make a profit as such, but to benefit the wider community by appropriately assigning revenues to expenses.
As over 2013, the New Zealand Police took stock of the ways in which they had been measuring performance and came up with 4 goals set out in their statement of intent. 1. Reducing crime. 2. Reducing death and injury on the road. 3. Protecting communities. And 4. Maintaining trust in the police.
The aspect I have chosen, which I found rather interesting, is the point of how the New Zealand Police have had relatively poor progress in improving services for adult sexual assault complainants. A public benefit entity is exactly that, an entity to benefit the public. Therefore, one of the most important factors for a public benefit entity is accountability. Without accountability, taxpayers lose trust, confidence and belief in both the police and the government. In order for the police to address and effectively improve their services in this area of adult sexual assault complainants, they need to implement appropriately the Commission's recommendations. The 2012 Deputy Auditor General's Overview was the 3rd monitoring report into police conduct. By now, you would think that they would be improving in this area. However, since the monitoring report in 2010, there has been relatively poor progress. By not getting this right soon, it would continue to directly affect victims of sexual assault crimes, including whether their cases progress satisfactorily through the justice system and whether they would get aided support. By the police not being able to improve in relations in this area, this creates a lack of trust for you and I in the system and how police conduct themselves to those in society. From a financial perspective, it's important the police use their income from the Crown wisely as it contains taxpayers' money. Therefore, training and development are important for the police to invest expenditure into in order to address this conduct issue and ensure the welfare of those in New Zealand. In a Stuff article published shortly after the release of the overview, it was said that the police acknowledge they still have work to do, and this is shown from their annual reports. Their training expenses decreased from 2011 to 2012 by $1.5 million. This would explain why there was no increase and really a standstill on this poor police conduct. In 2013, it continued to decrease, but by a smaller amount of $251,000. Total expenditure has increased from 2012 to 2013, so more of the taxpayers' money has been spent in benefiting the community and you and I over the last tax year. However, to address this police conduct issue, they really should be implementing more into training. A research paper by Andrew Goddard in 2004 looked at the importance of budgeting in relation to accountability. He found that accountability was not to be understood on its own, but the importance of trust and power is extremely influential in constructing both perceptions of accountability and budgetary practices. By setting a budget, it creates a strategy and a standard to abide by. Therefore, this shows power and creates a trust from people that management are trying to do the right thing and are being accountable to those around them. For the police to ensure accountability in this area of police conduct of adult sexual assault victims, they should ensure that they budget and use their resources correctly so as to provide a layer of trust between us and them.
Hey guys, I'm going to discuss the area of New Zealand police moral behaviour and how it's relevant to us, how it relates to government spending and public accountability. In a research done by Amanda Sinclair, it was revealed that CEOs construct accountability by managing meaning through subjective and linguistic, interactive and political processes. Called to account in different ways and from different quarters, a repertoire of forms and discourses enables the CEOs to accommodate and deal with the anxiety involved in being accountable. Well, the same can apply to the police with regards to being accountable to us, the public. The police's moral behavior has a lot of significance and economic importance in our daily lives. The police are a public service entity who are entrusted with public resources by way of tax, and therefore have an obligation to the public to possess conduct which reflects integrity. The police can be associated with the concept of street-level bureaucracy, which was first coined by Michael Lipsky in 1980. Who argued that policy implementation in the end comes down to the people who actually implement it. He argued that state employees such as police and social workers should be seen as part of the policy-making community and as exercisers of political power. Furthermore to this, a 2003 American study asserted that street-level workers actually make policy choices rather than simply implement the decisions of elected officials. Furthermore, workers' beliefs about the people they interact with continually rub up against policies and rules, and that the prejudices of the street-level bureaucrats influence their treatment of citizens. The Deputy Auditor General has stated trust and confidence in the police is fundamental to policing. His findings conclude that there was unacceptable level of inappropriate behavior of a sexual nature, harassment, being reluctant to report wrongdoing because of the perceived way colleagues were treated when they did, and slow changes in the gender and ethnic composition of the police. Also, it was highlighted that some of the behavior identified by the Commission's work showed a lack of integrity. More evidence showing a lack of integrity include articles such as "Complaints Against Southern Police Rise." The amounts of complaints had risen from 110 to 130, having the most common allegations included behavior and attitude complaints. Police agreed to pay a Salvadoran farmer $14,000 in damages and costs after armed officers entered his property in 2012 without permission. This article outlines how these actions have effect in our lives because we contribute via income tax to paying that $14,000 in damages. Another article I want to discuss was named Breakneck Brutality. It's a damning report that has found that police had acted unlawfully and with unjustifiable force in breaking up a party, which left Jacob Christie with a broken neck. The whole process showed that the police had a cone of silence and this brotherhood culture that existed. The police seem to protect one another even when they do wrong, and nobody's held to account afterwards. The police are law unto themselves, it was found, and this concept ties in with the street-level bureaucracy which was discussed before. The police ultimately need to have the culture and tools to support integrity and manage inappropriate conduct within their organization. The line between where public sector accounting ends and public policy management begins is vague due to the very much intertwined nature of the two areas. The use of accounting numbers and measures permeates through many governmental processes, from appropriations to management incentives, and most importantly, in discharging its fundamental obligation of accountability to the public.